CVS is basically forcing its employees to disclose their weight and their body fat, and this is making people very uncomfortable. They feel that it's a violation of their privacy. And the reason why CVS is doing this is because they want to keep healthcare costs low, and they want to encourage and incentivize healthy behavior from their employees. Now, for those who do not want to disclose their weight and basically refuse to go to a doctor to get a checkup to find that information out, they will have to pay $600 a year. It's a penalty. So workers who don't take part in the voluntary, that should be in quotation marks, wellness review paid for by CVS will have to pay an annual $600 penalty. And that about $50 will be taken out every month from their paychecks.
This is completely insane. Like, what does your job? You can't be fat and work at a drugstore? Mm-hmm. Where can you be fat? Where would be the job for fat people at that point? You know what I mean? Why? It's just completely insane. And the $600, like, we're penalizing you for being fat, and it's just this endless overreach of everything. Like in New York City when Bloomberg wanted to do the soda thing. Yeah. It's like, you gotta let people live, really. Right.
So I'm trying to think of this, you know, as fairly as possible. And you know, during our production meeting, Steve raised, he brought up an interesting point. He basically said, like, why is it that companies can't do this, right? So he basically makes the argument that if healthcare is tied to businesses, right, which is a terrible system, then of course businesses are going to want to look out for their profits. They're going to want to keep healthcare costs low, right? So they're going to go out of their way to either hire or keep employees that are healthier, right? So does it make sense that we're tying our healthcare system to businesses? Don't you think it's a better idea to have like universal healthcare?
Right, except okay, so Obamacare is going to kick in, and by that logic, then when you're walking down the street and you see someone with their Big Gulp and their Big Mac, well, you're paying into the same system that's still taking care of them. So whether it's coming from your job or coming from the government, you're still paying for them. We're paying for them now to go to the emergency room if they don't have health care. So it's sort of, I don't see like a major distinction there, whether it's your job or whether it's mandated by the government.
Right, well, you don't want to give companies an incentive to fire people who are overweight or fire people that might have a chronic disease, for instance. So if a company wants to keep their healthcare costs low and they find out that an applicant has like chronic kidney disease, for instance, well, that gives them an incentive not to hire that person, even if they're highly qualified.
Yeah,
right.
I just think that in a way we've gotten to this point where your job and your personal life, whatever your eating habits, I get the, like, if we could separate the healthcare part of it for just a second, your job and your eating habits should have nothing to do with each other.
I totally agree with you.
I used to work at electronics boutique, a video game store, now it's GameStop, and they made me take a drug test for weed.
I freaking hate that.
Before I worked there, they were telling me you can't smoke weed and work at a video game store.
Which doesn't make sense. I feel like it should actually be a requirement. If you want to work here, you must smoke the doobie.
They should have handed me a bong and been like, get to work. Like, I mean, it makes no sense. It makes no sense. Like, we got to keep these things separate.
I agree with you on that level, definitely. There's no question about it. I think that, you know, if you truly believe in liberty, you should allow people to do whatever it is that they want to do, whether it's drugs, whether it's eating bad food. Unfortunately, all of that is tied into our healthcare system, and that makes things very, very complicated. So, you know, on a fundamental level, I have no problem with people drinking, eating, doing whatever the hell they want, but I do have a problem when that costs me more money in my healthcare.
I'm with you. Well, that's what makes it tough, because it's that constant battle between liberty and what should you have in your personal life versus if we're all in this thing together, you know, how much right do you have to tell someone what to eat? No.